All right, hello and welcome everyone to our Meal Solution Mondays class for today. My name is Charlotte Scheid and I'm one of the Giant Company dietitians. Really appreciate everybody being here today and hopefully you're enjoying the really warm weather. Definitely feeling even more like spring. But we have, so the theme for this month is spring sational meals. So this one, and I'll explain in a minute why it is a spring sational meal, but we are going to be making a black bean and chicken tostadas. And the reason that it is a spring sational meal is because we are going to be using radishes. So actually, before I get started with this, let me actually ask the poll if you do use radishes. So let me go ahead and pull that up. You can go ahead and answer that question. So the question is, do you eat radishes? So you can see right here, they are in season from May to June, especially in Pennsylvania. They are available in store year round, and a lot of different other spring produce going on, including carrots, arugula, peas, rhubarb, and those types of things. But radishes, definitely a very delicious produce item to incorporate. Okay, so let me go ahead and end the poll, and let's see, let me share the results. Okay, so it looks like a lot of you already do use radishes, but then quite a few of you do not. So hopefully this will recipe for today will inspire you to do so. It's a little bit of a unique way to use radishes. So thanks everybody for answering that. All right, so you can see on the right, this is one of my favorite charts to look at seasonal produce. So it's a seasonal produce calendar. So this is on the PA Preferred website. So you can see down by the arrow, you can see radishes. So they were in season May and June. So pretty soon they will be very, very delicious. So definitely keep an eye out for those. Okay, so of course, like with any produce item, since we're incorporating radishes in today's recipe, wanted to just review a little bit of their nutritional benefits. So 1 cup of fresh radishes are very low in calorie, kind of like with a lot of different produce items, but there are 18 calories. They're a good source of fiber. So fiber for 1 cup, almost 2 grams. They're packed full of antioxidants, so we know that this helps with prevention of cellular damage. Also a good source of vitamin C, which is beneficial for our immune health. Magnesium, a good source of that. Magnesium is really important for nerve and muscle function. And then potassium as well is important for our bone, heart, and muscle health. So a lot of different nutritional benefits for radishes. Another reason to incorporate them. And these are a couple ways to use radishes. Just thought I would put this out there as well. So you can of course add them to a salad or a slaw. So slaw meaning like cabbage, carrots, and any type of dressing that you want. You could serve them with hummus or yogurt-based dip, just like with other vegetables. You could roast them, which makes them a little bit sweeter. So you can roast them with olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper. You can add them to tacos. So we're going to be using them or incorporating them in a tostada. We can put them on top of a burger into sandwiches to give a little bit of crunch. Skewers, like vegetable skewers, that's usually like vegetable skewers with grilling is going to be pretty popular the next upcoming months because of the grilling season. So you can, of course, incorporate them onto a vegetable skewer. You can add them to pasta salads or grain bowls, or even put them on a sheet pan meal, which is one of my favorite things because it's super easy cleanup. But you can incorporate them with things like salmon, pork tenderloin, chicken, or any type of other veggies like potatoes, green beans, asparagus, those types of things. So many ways to use radishes. All right. So this is our recipe for today. There we go. So we're going to be making a black bean and chicken tostada. This is a recipe for Guiding Stars. For those of you who are new, Guiding Star program is on these recipes online. The more stars that something has, the more nutritionally beneficial it is, like more vitamins, minerals, healthy fats, fiber, those types of things. But this one gets 2 guiding stars, very colorful dish. So what we're going to be doing to start out, so I had bought corn tortillas. So for this recipe, it serves 6. So each serving is 2 tortillas. So you can see the lower right-hand corner, the nutritional information. So has 29 grams of protein, really coming from the black beans and chicken. Also great source of fiber at 15 grams, which is really nice. Is higher in sodium. However, there are ways to decrease sodium in this meal. For instance, Like we're going to be using rotisserie chicken today, but instead of that, you could just do a plain chicken that you bake in the oven. That will decrease the sodium a little bit, or even the cheese may contribute sodium. So you can always eliminate that or get lower sodium options as well. But it is a great source of protein and fiber. So the first thing that we are going to do with the core, actually, let me see if I have anything else to say on this slide. Okay, so I think we're good. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but these are the ingredients that we have. A lot of great flavor going on with cumin, lime juice. We're going to be using feta cheese, or you can use queso fresco. Avocado we're going to be using, get some of those healthy fats. And then you can see radishes and then cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, you can always use something else or just eliminate it. I know for myself, I'm definitely a cilantro lover, so we will be using that today. So let me stop sharing my screen and we will get started. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is I had bought these corn tortillas. So like what I said before, the recipe serves 6, so each serving is 2 tortillas. So I'm going to just do just 6 tortillas. So I had lined my sheet pan with aluminum, and I did preheat the oven to 400 because we're going to make these corn tortillas crispy. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So what we're going to do first is I'm just going to use this cooking spray, this canola oil cooking spray, and just spray both sides just a little bit. Put it right on the tray. So again, the whole recipe is 6 of these tortillas. We're just going to do 6 for right now. So I'm just spraying some cooking spray on either side. Helps to make these corn tortillas a little bit crispy. You could probably even put these in the oven too without doing the cooking spray, and they would still probably get a little bit crispy. So we're going to put this in the oven at 400 for about 5 minutes. It says you can go up to 10 minutes if you want, but just to play it safe, I'm going to do 5 minutes. Okay, so my oven is ready to go at 400, so I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes for our corn tortillas. Be right back. All right, so I set my timer for 5 minutes. Just put the cap on this. So the next thing that we're going to make, so our first layer of our tortilla is a bean or black bean spread. So let's go ahead and make that. So I have my mixer right here. So the recipe calls for 2 cans of black beans. So I'm going to use these no salt added black beans, which is another way to reduce sodium in the recipe. So for this, I forgot what I was going to say. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to add 2 cans of black beans into here. Oh, I know. Just remember what I was going to say. Okay. So if you look on the nutrition facts label, so for a half cup of the black beans, if you are concerned about sodium, it's just 5 milligrams. So there's about 3.5 servings in the can. But again, for half cup is just 5 milligrams, which is nice. Okay, so we added 2 cans of black beans. We're also going to add 1 tablespoon of fresh lime juice. Also going to incorporate cumin. So I have my ground cumin here. So we're going to do half of a teaspoon. Cumin will really make the flavors pop. All right, so half of a teaspoon. And we're also going to do 3 tablespoons of water. So I'd already measured out, 3 tablespoons of water. Just helps it to not get stuck and be a little bit more smooth. So I can't remember if Zoom kind of lowers the audio, but let me just mute myself while I mix this up in the blender. So you just want to mix it until it is a smooth paste. All right, so you can see here, this is looking good. There's still like a little bit chunkiness, but that's still okay. We just want it to be on the spread for our first layer of the tortilla. All right, let me check my four tortillas. Let me just make sure they're not burning. Yep, so that looks good. So probably like another 2 minutes on those. So in the meantime, I will mention, so this recipe, there is going to be a layer of chicken. So the chicken that I used, you can see I already kind of chopped it up. But the chicken that I did get, whenever you were kind of in the meat area or the deli area of the grocery store, they have already not pre-sliced, pre-chopped rotisserie chicken, which makes it really nice. But like I said, you can either get like a whole rotisserie chicken, you can chop it up that way, or you can bake chicken. This recipe is really good for leftover chicken and however way that you have it. But I did get the already pulled apart rotisserie chicken kind of in the deli area. So I already chopped that up. Okay, so in the meantime, what I'm going to do is chop up my radishes. So you can see right here, we'll add some really nice color. We have about a minute on the corn tortillas. So the recipe says that you can leave in the corn tortillas for about 10 minutes, but I just have a feeling they might get a little bit too crispy. So these radishes will be another layer on our tostadas. All right, you're just kind of cutting them up kind of in slices, just like that. And then after we do this, I'm going to pull those corn tortillas out and we're going to chop up some cilantro and then an avocado as well. But again, like what I said before, with cilantro, you can always eliminate that. Usually people either they like cilantro or they do not, but definitely like cilantro. You could even use like parsley if you wanted to, or any other type of herb. About 10 seconds corn tortillas. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull them out. All right, so you can see here, these are pretty much, I mean, they're starting to get crispy. I think they're good enough for me and what I like, but if you wanted them a little crispier, you can of course put them in for longer, but I think these will be good. So I'm gonna pull over a plate right here and just let them cool a little bit. Let's put 4 on this plate. All right, put this back. All right, so let's cut up the cilantro and avocado. So you can see here I have a really nice fresh cilantro. So you don't need a whole lot of cilantro. I'm just gonna pick this apart and then chop it up. And then we'll also chop up the avocado. And I probably mentioned this in other classes, but I'm getting really good at picking out a really nice avocado, just because my daughters really love avocado. So I really know when it's ripe, it's not overripe or too underripe. But avocados are a great way to incorporate those healthy fats that we want. All right, so let me go ahead and chop cilantro. Just makes a really nice topping. All right, bring over my avocado. Okay, so hopefully this will be, yeah, that looks pretty good. Some brown on it. Let me see if I can see if this one is a little bit better. So I just said I'm really good at picking out avocado, but there was a little bit of brown in that one, but usually I'm decent. Okay, try this one. So this one looks a little bit better. So for the avocado, we're just going to chop it up into smaller pieces, or you can even do slices. Okay. Take this end off. I'm just gonna peel the rest off. And then cut it into smaller pieces. Yep, so this one is definitely a nicer avocado. All right. I'm just gonna chop it up into smaller pieces. And then we're going to start building our tostadas. Okay. So this is our bean spread that we already mixed. So I'm just going to take my spreader tool right here. I'm just going to spread this as our first layer. Okay. And then after this, we're going to add on the chicken. But when I read the recipe and it said it had, that good source of protein, definitely coming from the beans and the chicken. So if you want to feel fuller longer, these tostadas will do the trick. All right, so let's get this one. All right, one more. We can get this out of here. There we go. All right, so this looks good. This is really perfect consistency for this spread. All right, let me go ahead and put this back. So next I'm also going to use, or like I said, I'm going to add chicken just as a layer. And this recipe also calls for shredded lettuce. But instead of lettuce, which you can definitely use lettuce, I just like to use a little bit more of a darky greens, because it gives a little bit more of nutritional benefit. And I'll show you here in a second. I am going to use our Nature's Promise baby spinach and spring mix. And I mentioned this in class before. These containers are just nice because they're really easy to reseal and it keeps it fresh. Let me just take some of this out. Should I got a bigger cutting board, but you just kind of chop this down and further. But again, if you want to just use regular lettuce, that's fine too. I just like to use a little bit of the dark leafy greens. Okay. So let's see right here. Let's put this right on top. I think I just added, some cilantro. That's okay. All right, so here's our dark leafy greens. So again, I'm using the baby spinach and spring mix. We're also going to use feta. If anybody likes feta, you can also use really probably any cheese, shredded cheese that you want. Let's see this. I'm gonna add, I love feta cheese. This one would be really good. Right, so we have our feta cheese. Let's add that avocado that chopped up. Some avocado. If you really like avocado, you can definitely even put more on if you like. Okay. Next, we're going to put on the radishes. As you can see here that we sliced. You could probably even chop these up even a little bit more. So I'm going to do one more on each. As you can see here, we're going to add then our cilantro on top. And then you can put a little bit of salt and pepper if you want, but you don't have to. But what I am going to do, so I have a lime right here. I'm just going to top it off with some lime juice. So you just kind of do a freshly squeezed right over it. So these are our black bean and chicken tostadas. So you can see that did not take too long to make. Again, with the corn tortillas, if you want them to be a little bit more crispy, you can always put in for the 10 minutes. But I always have the luck where I put them in for that long and then they get too crispy. So, all right. So here is our finished product. Let me put up there. So you can see right here. So again, not too hard to make and super delicious. So let me look at some questions. Okay, let's see. So the brand of tortillas that I used are, let's see, La Banderita yellow corn tortillas. So these are normally in the bread, not the bread section, like the taco or like the taco shells and everything, like the international section. This is where I got these. So that's what the tortillas I use. And let's see. Since the canned beans are so low in sodium, I don't need to rinse as I've always done. I would still because so for these no salt added black beans, because they do have a little bit of more like fluid on them, I would still rinse them just to kind of get that off. Not necessarily because you want to get more sodium off, but just makes it a little more clean. But that's a good question. And can you use frozen avocado in this recipe? You can certainly use frozen avocado. Sometimes when it thaws, it has like a different texture. But if that doesn't bother you, I'm trying to think of what the texture is, just more, not squishy. It's just a different texture than just a fresh avocado. But if you want to try fresh avocado, you can certainly try that in this recipe. Okay. And would refried beans work as well? Yes. You can definitely use refried beans if you would like. That'd be even, an easy or like, hey, you wouldn't have to use a blender or whatnot. You can just use the refried beans on the recipe. So those are all good questions. All right.